We're talking about the PCV valve for a 3.6. Well, there she is. Here's the number. Mopar, made in USA. 6808-3202 AC 001. Made in the USA. Genuine Mopar. Anyway, here's the PCV valve. This is a pretty high-tech, like a seal. Some people say it's the same as a rear main seal. I don't think that's true. This is the newer model. It's got a seal right here also. It's got two T, I think they're T25s. The old ones have 3, which are very hard to take out. And anyway, and then you need to get a new hose, but otherwise they're all the same. The main problem is this right here. You see this flopping around in there? That little, right down in the center of the half-inch hole. That's a little metal apparatus that is actually the PCV valve. This here fits on the end of the camshaft where there's a centrifuge to get a lot of the oil out, which is sort of cool. But essentially, the main problem is this, is that little tiny hole. I mean, it's only, I think it's 1/16. I popped a 1/16 drill bit down in there. It was slightly loose, but not really. It was not the next size up. So basically it's 1/16 of an inch. So do you trust your motor, basically? Basically, do you trust your motor to that? So this is what I say. Sorry, my battery's dying here. This is what I say. Part of the problems with these things is the, problem with rockers, which this may not be related to that, but I did take some FCA training with a buddy of mine. I was able to participate. That's a long story, but anyway, basically what they were saying is if you leave the PCV valve, go 100,000 miles, which is basically the service interval for them, and you can get a cheapie for $30. Actually, I saw one online for $21 on Amazon. I'm not sure it's good, but this thing here is like $60 from Mopar. But if you weren't able to evacuate because that little 16th inch hole is plugged up, then would that back up the pressure in the motor that would blow the seals on the oil filter adapter? So people, that's what they were saying, is that's part of the problem. I know people crack them because they over torque them, and they don't know what a Newton meter is, or basically they don't know what they're doing. They crank on that son of a bean so dang tight, they crack the plastic, or they just, beat the F out of the car so much that the heat cycles wrecks the rubbers. But, I don't know, I got a lot of Pentastars, and I've yet to have one changed. If I had a driver that was driving it like the Democrats that I live around, I would fire them instantaneously. So I have a GPS tracker on them at all times. They go over the speed limit, much, they're going to lose their job. I'm not going to have them driving for me. So I don't much care what their excuse is. I just don't want them driving and beating on my cars. So they didn't pay for it, I did. So all I know is I changed my PCV valves every 30,000 miles, and I've had no problems. And I've got a couple of them, a couple of the Pentastars on my older Ram ProMasters that are looking at, and they're some early ones, over 500,000 miles, and still on the original motor. Now, I do change the oil every 3,000 miles on these things. I don't always use the best oil, but I do change the oil because I think it needs to be changed. I try to always buy it on sale. I buy a crap load of it. I've been known to buy 50 5-quart containers, maybe more. I think one time I bought 70 of them. I got some nice Quaker State full synthetic for like $15.50, so I think I bought 70 of them. So I change oil frequently, and the motors last good, and I changed the transmission fluid in the 62 TE that's in the ProMaster. I change that every 30,000 miles, sometimes 25, and then the ones that are in the 8 speeds, those I change the oil between 30 and 35,000, because those transmissions are extremely expensive. And I'll tell you, I think my drivers drive nice. I do. I baby my cars. I like my cars. They're not racers, so you should really be taking care of them. So I've yet to have a tranny blowout. So I'm not saying I didn't trade in a vehicle, when it was due to be changed. I mean, it had a lot of miles on it, but I'm not going to sit and let it fail. But I'll tell you, I've had very few failures. So that little tiny hole, that's only a 1/16 of an inch, if that plugs up, it backs up, and now FCA is hinting at maybe that's what's blowing out the seals on the Pentastar. To me, I never really thought of that before, but that to me is the weakest seals there are. So, and if that blows out, then you got oil all over your motor and maybe potentially catastrophically wrecking your motor. So anyway, it's something to think about. Hope you've enjoyed this, and have a good evening.